What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Car Wars YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking catch cans. I had people tell me, bro, what's the point of half the mods on your car? They don't even give you horsepower. It's just like a waste of money. Half of them are cooling mods and the other half are just supporting mods. It's just like a waste, bro. But that's not true. It's not a waste. If you want your car to last, you gotta have supporting mods. One thing is to get the mods to build your power. The other thing is making your car last with them supporting mods and the cooling mods. So before we talk about my catch can, which is a Mighty Mouse Wild catch can set up for a CTS-V, we gotta understand what it does. So in a combustion engine, there is an explosion that happens in the combustion chamber, and as the piston travels down, there is blow-by that happens between the cylinder wall. Between the rings, there's some air that escapes and goes down into your crankcase. So there's pressure that builds up and there is oil molecules mixed with air. Now this air needs to escape somewhere. There is tubes, breather valves that you have where air escapes, and in a stock CTS-V, this air escapes from the valley between the heads into the supercharger, up into your brick, and then goes into your combustion chamber and gets burnt up. So there's a few drawbacks to that. Whenever you get this oil and air mixture, what it does is it builds up on the valves, it builds up on your pistons. You get a bunch of buildup inside the car, and sometimes it breaks off, and then you can damage, like it can get stuck between the valve and the head. It can do all sorts of damage. Like in my car, when I got my car, there was all sorts of buildup. And the second problem is when this air flows into your supercharger and over your brick. Let me show you my brick. This right here is the supercharger brick, and the air flows through this. Now whenever you get oily air, it flows over the little, by the way, this is just a brick that I have laying around. I took it off my car when I installed my ZL1 lid. It gets a lot of oil, and all these little fins, there's a small tiny layer that gets built up, oil layer that gets built up on this brick. Now when the air flows through, you can kind of see through it. When the air flows through, it's supposed to slide over the little metal fins and the air gets cooled off. Well, when there's an oil layer on the little fins, it doesn't work as good because the air just slides over the fins and doesn't really touch the metal and doesn't cool off as well. So that's one of the drawbacks also. I had in my supercharger, when I first bought the car, there wasn't a catch can. I actually had a lot of oil inside my supercharger, and that's one of the things that made me get a catch can right away. And another one of the issues is you can have pre-ignition or knock. You get all these oil molecules mixed with the air going into your combustion chambers. If it gets too hot, you can have pre-ignition and knock. So there's three of the most common issues that why you would want an oil catch can. So you don't get one, oil into your combustion chamber, get a bunch of buildup. It gets nasty, and nasty fast, I'm telling you guys. If I might have some pictures of my cylinders, how they were when I first got the car. And second, you get a bunch of oil in your supercharger, on your brick. The cooling doesn't work as well. And third, pre-ignition and knock. Alright, so let's go to the review of my Mighty Mouse catch can. So this is the factory lines that you have. It plugs into your intake. This one runs to the valve cover in the back, plugs in, and this one plugs in over here also into the valve cover. So what you do is you go like that because you don't need that anymore. And then there's another from the valley. You get a little hose, a tiny little hose that goes from your valley to your supercharger. It just goes from there into your supercharger. So what happens is the air gets sucked in to your into your valve covers, and then air travels from the valley, from your crankcase. There's air and oil molecules get sucked in straight into your supercharger, and then it goes through the brick and then into your heads. So inside there's that brick, it gets covered in oil, the cooling doesn't work as well, and then your valves and your pistons get a bunch of buildup on it. Now the Mighty Mouse catch can, which I have sitting right there, is actually a really high quality built catch can. It has mesh inside, so the air doesn't just flow through and you don't get the air and the molecules traveling back into your supercharger. So what you do is you block off, when you install this Mighty Mouse catch can, you block off the little breathers, the original breathers. There's that one right there blocked off, you can see, and one on this side that's blocked off right there, and you install this instead. You take off your oil cap, you put on this little adapter, and then you put on this hose. Now it runs all the way back, goes into my catch can, then from my catch can it runs under here, under there, and into the supercharger right there. Also, you get, this is that from the air intake, the air goes, there's a line that runs right there, and into the valley right there, into your crankcase. So to my understanding, how I was explained, the air gets pulled in from your intake, it runs into your crankcase, then air comes into this line, runs to your oil catch can. It has oil and air, runs into your catch can. It all gets stuck inside your catch can, and then from the catch can there's clean air running back and into the supercharger. So there's a vacuum, the air is pooling because the air is always getting pulled into the supercharger. That air from the catch can gets sucked into the supercharger. Now it's clean air, it runs inside, and then you have the clean air going into your combustion chamber. So now what I want to do is I want to take off my lid and I want to check out how clean it is. Is there actually oil on my brick? Is there oil in the little pockets? Let's go, take that lid off and check it out. All right, so I loosened up all the bolts. Let's take a look what we got in here. Oh, come on. Let's investigate this. So we got my brick. It's all clean. Just a tiny bit of oil right here, but nothing major. A little bit at the seams, but a little bit gets trapped in there, no big deal. So let's look into the supercharger. Ooh, we got, I mean, there's just a film of oil right there and a little bit of dust. I mean, just a film right there and a tiny little pocket of oil. I mean, just a tiny bit right there. That's actually smells like fuel. It smells like E85 up in here. But other than that, look at that. That is clean and dry. We got the runners. They are pretty clean. Got a little bit of fuel in there. It smells like E85 because the injectors are down in there. Seems nice and clean. Just a little bit film right here and right there. This is a little bit of oil, a little bit oily, but I mean, you can't get every single particle out of it. But that seems really nice, a lot cleaner than it was previously, as you guys have seen. So overall, it did a pretty good job at filtering the oil out of the air. Just a few molecules got by. I'd say that's alright for the amount of power that I'm actually pushing in my car. It's been filtering it out. I've been draining the extra oil that the catch can's been collecting, so it's been keeping my supercharger clean. Just a little bit got in there. I think that shouldn't do too much damage. If you guys want one of these catch cans, I'll leave a link in the description. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.